Hello, hello. Greetings. It is me. I am AstridTheHorrorGirl, and I would like to request that everyone opens their textbooks to the chapter entitled Necrovision, because there is a lesson today. A lesson about the history of the Great War, World War I. And this is the true story, not the stuff that was taught in education systems around the world. The real story of the Great War, involving all of the vampires, the werewolves, the demons, the zombies, and the dragons. And as you will also see, the flying fire manta rays that also were scattered across the sky that airplanes had to battle. Anyways, if that sounds like fun, I think that you will enjoy this very broken, very messed up speedrun that we are about to do. Joining me on comms is the amazing Evie.
Hello, I'm Q Evie, or just Evie, and there will be a test after this, so make sure you're paying attention.
Indeed. So get ready with your standardized test of multiple choice questions and your number 2 pencil. We will begin our analysis of the Great War in a moment. Just before I start, though, I want you to notice how this says, with Start New Game at the bottom, it says, join the British Army and discover the horror and mystery of the Great War. A couple things. One, we will not be joining the British Army at all. We play as a German soldier. Second, you will never see a British soldier in this game whatsoever at all. That's not a thing that will happen. Third, that is the original tagline for the game Necrovision, which this game is a prequel to. And in that game, you also do not play as a British soldier in the British Army. So it's just to get you in the right headspace of what we are going to be experiencing right now. I think that you will have a great time. So the time is going to start when when the bar starts to load all the way across. So it'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. First things first, we are going to launch ourselves with this bot. Just like that, because when you take heavy objects and you collide them on the wall like that, then you end up in a very silly place. So the silly place in question there was right against the wall. I made a small mistake here, not one that I have made in a little bit. Give me just 1 second. And we were trying to get onto the roof there, but if you take a physics object, press it against a solid thing, like a solid wall, then what happens to you is you end up just launching into the air if you press jump at the exact same time. So it's very silly. This game is very, very broken. And we're not sure why exactly it ends up happening that way, but it sure does. It sure does happen that way, just like that. Okay. Now we will jump. Okay, cool.
It's one of the many examples of the physics and collision in this game not being what you would expect it to be.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things it's affected a little bit by frame rate. And we'll see lots of different frame rate tricks coming up. But, Evie, why don't you tell them about how much collision on the things that don't need collision there are in this game?
Yeah, so there are a lot of areas that the player is never meant to reach in this game that just have collision for some reason. Sometimes they have textures like the mountains, sometimes they do not, like this section Astrid is running across. And what's important is that collision actually has terrain to it, so you can't see it, but she just jumped over a little canyon there.
Yep, and like right here, the textures disappear, but the collision is still there, so I just have to remember where it is that I'm running and where I'm going to, because if I mess up, then, you know, I fall and just end up suddenly dead. We don't want that. we're gonna try to get back inbounds here. There's a vampire waiting for me over there. You can see him in his rain jacket. Vampires love rain jackets and knives. That's kind of like what they do. Specifically, these are soldiers that have been transformed into vampires. They are uncertain of why they have become this way. Also, they're zombies too. Right now, we are trying to, like this area right here, this is just for show. You can't ever actually get up here. It's just because you're supposed to be able to see that area from a distance. So it all has collision though. And that's what matters in the end. I'm gonna hit this lever here, ends the level. So Evie, why don't you tell them about what we're gonna do right now with the rifle jumping?
So, yes, as this level begins, we are going to use a box to do another collision jump up onto a roof, and then Astrid's going to perform a rifle jump by running forward with a rifle in hand and hitting jump and melee at the same time. You just get launched with velocity, and depending on how you do it, it'll either be forward or vertical.
Yeah, it's a hard trick because you have to do it at a certain frame in your running animation. So if you do it right, it'll send you forward. If you do it wrong, it'll send you backwards. And sometimes it just won't happen at all. But the way that we make it happen more often is we just lock frames to 30 frames per second, so that instead of having PC speeds of like unlocked frames, however fast that can go, it's easier to pinpoint what frame to land on if it's locked at a lower frame rate. So that's why the frame rate will sometimes be so low, is I'm just locking the frames. Also, if you're wondering what those demon things are floating around, so am I.
They are not mentioned until the next level. Just another one of those things that is left out of history textbooks.
Yeah, those are the flying demons that would often appear. Just one of the many flying demons, to be honest. Now we are at the airplane flying level. There's not too much to do on this level as far as skips and such. The only thing that we want to make sure that we do is destroy these planes at the bottom, and then a little bit later we're going to defend a train from flying golden manta rays that are on fire. You'll see them. They were a very common sight in World War I, and there were entire units of pilots that had to deal directly with them. And they would attack things like trains constantly. So while we give that display to all these interested historians in chat, Mint, why don't you read us off some donations? You got plenty of time.
Oh, absolutely. We have $15 here from Trans Sonic's Gender, who says, Sonic is great. Who doesn't love Sonic? But make Sonic a girl? Now that's something I can get behind. And I just wanted to say that, first off, I am loving the world being painted here, that when we meet that incentive to replace Sonic with Amy, Sonic is literally transitioning. I think that is a fascinating interpretation of events. But second off, I just wanted to, speaking of, remind everybody that we are 86% of the way on that incentive, and we need to meet it for the start of the Sonic Adventure 2 run. We also have the incentive to add more traps, which is 56% of the way there, and we would also need to meet that by the start of the run. Do you have time for any more donations?
Plenty of time.
All right, and I'm going to read you a long one here. We have $5 from LaSalle's Shroud, who says, is that the Astrid running the Necrovision Lost Company benefiting Malala Fund? Absolutely incredible. Ever since I saw you running Dark Messiah of Might and Magic and preaching the righteous gospel of Zana, I found myself in one of the most caring and loving communities helmed by one of the best people in the scene. Good luck on the run. Just imagine Fear 3 is chasing you.
My gosh, LaSalle's Shroud, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. So now we have defended the train. and you can't see it yet, but I'm shooting at a Zeppelin. There it goes. And if I do this right, I should be able to destroy it before I get there. You can just kind of damage it before you can see it, which is kind of great. This Zeppelin is destroying, or it's distributing like a poison gas that is turning soldiers into zombies. It was covered up by a lot of other soldiers and historians as being like different kinds of gases that were being spread around, but no one ever talks about the zombie gas of World War I. That was a serious problem, and we should demand answers and accountability for why this is being kept from us, the zombie gas. Also, another thing that wasn't talked about nearly enough is the fact that there were dragons.
Yeah, another little known serious problem that would plague the skies of battlefields. Just dragons.
Yep, dragons and their fireballs. It's this is kind of the rail shooter segment of the game. The dragon is actually invincible. Even though it has a boss health bar, you cannot actually kill it. All you can do is be on this rail here and shoot down the fireballs that it is hurtling towards us. So that's what we are doing. They're kind of predictable. Every time you do this section, it is almost completely the same. The route that the dragon flies and takes is completely the same each time. The fireballs will come out of the dragon's something. I can't say mouth because that's definitely not where they're coming from in the animation. They'll come from a different place just about every time. We got time for some donations while I just shoot these fireballs.
All right, perfect. We have a $10 donation from 3pup who says, "Hi Astrid, it is always great to see you up on the Fatale stage. You are always so inspiring and I am so eternally grateful to call you my friend. Good luck on the run, less than 3. Also, hi Evie, proud of you."
Hi, Free Pup.
Thank you, 3pup. I'm also proud of you, Evie. We've got time for a couple more.
All right, before I read a few more, I just wanted to make a small correction to something I said earlier. Those Sonic incentives actually need to be met before the end of this run. I believe I may have said it was during the start of the Sonic run, but we need to meet those before the end of this run. So we are 10 minutes into the run, the estimate's about 40 minutes, so we're looking about 30 minutes to meet those incentives. Anyhow, we have a $25 donation from Cece who says, "Astrid, you're an amazing runner, a cool friend, and with the game you brought to us today, clearly a woman of culture. Good luck."
Thank you very much. This is one of my favorite chapter beginnings because we're supposed to be in bed, but we can actually navigate around like that while we're supposed to be getting up. It's kind of funny. We've been captured by American soldiers, and after seeing the zombie battlefield going on, they've decided, hey, you know what? Maybe we should team up instead of being against each other to fight this whole zombie outbreak thing that's going on. So we are working with the Americans right now to stop that from happening. But when I say that, I mean I'm just going to go out of bounds and go to the end of the level, actually. So we've got to Skyrim horse it up this mountain. Evie, why don't you tell them about because I skipped the wolf wares. Why don't you tell them about the best enemy of this game?
Yes, again, another little-known part of World War I. There's so much that wasn't talked about. Wolf wares are like werewolves, but they start as wolves and then turn into like a humanoid wolf hybrid thing. So hence wolf were.
Indeed. They were pretty terrifying because you'd just be like, oh, look, a dog. And then it turns into a large bipedal buff dog. So that might not be terrifying to see on the battlefield. It might just be shocking in a good way, but rest assured they were vicious. Let's go on over to this part right here. We found that if you just crouch in the right spot, you just launch up this pillar, which is where we want to be. we're gonna try to rifle jump out of this situation, which is easier said than done, unfortunately. There we go. These levels, all of them, individually, are at the very least 20 minutes long in, like, a casual gameplay sense, even if you know where you're going. So these levels are really just shortened by going all the way to the end of these things. Right now, we're going to jump over this force field, grab this key. That force field is supposed to be down, so those soldiers running into it is kind of a silly thing. And Gulch 2, who's current world record holder of this game, found that if you just jump at the force field while you're running into it, you'll just launch into the sky and fly over it. It's as simple as that. That's the end of that level, and now we're on to the shortest level of the game, and it's been giving me problems. Now, when I say shortest level of the game, I simply mean by the speedrun standards. It's still kind of long by normal game standards. There's a whole boss. There's a whole, like, wave-based combat thing going on. But instead, what we can do, as soon as these dudes leave me alone, we're just gonna simply hop to the end of the level here by going right up here and grabbing the item that we need to complete the level. So, excuse me, Flamethrower Man, you are in the way. We just grab that. And before we leave, however, we need the grenade launcher. It's a special tool that we'll use later, you know?
I want to stress as well that, like, we were just getting started with some of the crazy out of bounds and collision jump stuff that's going to be happening. So this run is going to go by quickly for that. So get those incentives met.
Indeed.
Speaking of those incentives, I actually wanted to update everybody. We are 90% of the way to replace Sonic with Amy. We actually need less than $100 to meet that incentive, so we are so close. I know, chat, that you can close that one out. And we
Y'all
also
got
have
this.
progress on adding more traps. We only need $280. We are 64% of the way there.
Let's go.
Yeah, y'all got this. Heck yeah.
We can do that for sure.
Indeed.
So
This is the protagonist talking to a young Patton, by the way. I just wanted to point out that you're not supposed to be able to drive up this hill at all. There's an invisible wall here, and if you get out of the tank right there, it just deposits you on the other side of the invisible wall, allowing us to just run this distance here. Meanwhile, there's this whole conversation that's going on between young Patton and Jonas, the main character. And it's very silly because Patton is all the way back there and he's talking to us like he's right next to us. But this is a long journey that we have to make, so, Mint, we got plenty of time for donos and such.
I love to hear it. We have $25 from Magos Informaticus, who says, was that Majos? Anyways, who says, go Astrid, find that company. We also have $100 from Call Me Tony Rose, who says, hiya Astrid, you've been such a shining beacon of awesomeness since we first met. Hope we can eventually grab another burger. GL with the run. Heart.
Don't you think that's sad?
Gosh, thank you so much, y'all. You got time for a few more.
All right. We have $250 from Lucy the Rose, who says, less than 3, trans rights now.
Indeed.
We also have $50 from Teffy42, who says that just that cute little emoticon face where it's like the 2 up carrots and an underscore between them. Chat, if you know what I'm talking about, please type that one in chat so that the people who don't can see.
Got time for one more.
All right. Let's see. We have $50 from Darth Fruit Cup, who says, love the marathon so far and so proud to be a part of this wonderful Frame Fatales community. Keep up the great work, everyone. Trans rights, less than 3.
Trans rights. All right, we gotta try to run up this dam. If you do it at the right angle, you can get up it just like that. Oh, I feel good about that one.
Oh, that was very smooth.
Thank you. That's one of the trickier things. There's lots of backup things just in case you don't make it, which most people don't. So I'm really happy that I got to do it. Like, that's a once every run kind of thing. Once in every few runs, I should say. All right. So now we're going to be attacked by these friends. Pay no attention to them. We have the grenade launcher that we grabbed earlier. We use it specifically for this part. We're going to get them all up in a group. And that's gonna be it. So now we're coming up on chapter 7. This is the only chapter where I'm just gonna let Evie talk for a little bit, but I need a little bit of silence pretty soon because I am doing a very sound-based maneuver and I won't be able to see what's going on. So Evie, why don't you tell him what's happening and such?
Alrighty, so Astrid's gonna be doing a corner and box jump, doing one of those collision jumps to try and get up on the roof. And we will not be in bounds for the rest of the level. She's going to cross over to a specific part, and when she drops down, the textures are going to unload. She's trying to get over to a machine gun nest, where she has to stay until a door opens to proceed with the level. The tricky thing about the machine gun nest is there are enemies that are going to be meleeing her and trying to push her into a corner and can knock her out of position very easily. So we're looking for an objective pop-up. And now that Astrid gets that objective, she's going to run through the door and around a corner, speak to the field marshal, and shoot a grenade at him to end the level.
Oh, I was worried. I could tell that I was being pushed into that corner. I had to try to maneuver around it. They definitely came for me.
I could see it, yeah. They were trying.
All right, for this section, I'm just trying to squeeze into this wall right here. When you frequently change your weapons, it changes the size of your character, like their hitbox. So just running forward and switching through your, switching through your weapons actually changes your size. So eventually it's just hopeful that it'll just squeeze you on through. So that's what that's all about. Oh, that put me back in bounds. But this is going to be pretty much just running along the corners and trying to find the little spots that you can stand on just out of bounds or on the ceilings of things. It looks like it's gonna be stubborn, so you know what? We got time for some donations.
All right, perfect. Let's see. We have $25 from Naomi, who says, "Hi, Astrid. Hi, Evie. Hi, Mint. I'm learning so much about the Great War. My dad is a history buff, so I can't wait to send him this documentary. No one ever talks about the dragons." Pepper is here too. She says "Arf." We also have $15 from Aragon, who says, "I don't know what Astrid is talking about. Isn't this exactly how grandparents described their daily way to school?" And here we have $10 from Schmumbler, who says, "We always talk about the Germans this, the British that, but what about those ancient Greeks? Are they as deadly as they say?"
Wonderful. That's a reference to a part where Jonas and Patton are talking to each other. And it's supposed to be mocking Jonas's age. And he's like, were those ancient Greeks as deadly as they say? Because Jonas is like, I don't know, like 50 or something like that. But yeah, thank you, Schmumbler. We're almost done here. This level's just being particularly stubborn. But we're going to come up to this part where we have to intentionally fall off the map. And we're just not there quite yet. But when we do get there, you'll see it. and it's because I'm trying to trigger this boss to load. You're supposed to have a scripted loss against the boss, like you have to lose. But if we spawn the boss in and just fall off the world, the game will think that the boss killed us, and it will end the level like minutes faster than the boss fight actually is. So that was why we fell off at the end there. We were literally dying to trick the game into thinking the boss killed us. It's good stuff.
Why fight boss when you can just jump?
It's true. All right, now we have been selected by the vampires to become their necromancer in the war, as happens occasionally in wars such as these. So the demons, it's explained to us that the demons in the war are actually trying to wage an actual war of world domination. The vampires are trying to protect us. Those are the vampires, by the way. You can tell because they have jetpacks. All vampires have jetpacks. Remember this. Vampires invented jetpacks in 1911, I believe it was. And I'm trying to use this box to launch me up into a balcony up there. And this is one of the harder tricks in the game. And it's going to take a few tries. So while we are attempting, Mint, you got time for donations.
All right. I first just wanted to mention that we are running low on time for these incentives. We are $70 away to replace Sonic with Amy, which is fairly close, but we are $280 away to add those extra traps to the Sonic Adventure 2 randomizer. Y'all, these traps are very, very funny. You want to see these. They have like quizzes, they have like Pong, that the runner will have to play while she also tries to complete the randomizer. It is a nightmare of multitasking that is going to be so entertaining. You do not want to miss it. We only have until the end of the run to meet that incentive, as well as to meet the incentive to replace Sonic with Amy. And while I was talking about it, it looks like we are up to 66%. So we are making progress, but chat, I do need you to lock in on the rest of this. We only have about 13 minutes until the estimate of the run, and it could be sooner if the runner gets some good tricks. So please take a look at those incentives.
Indeed. Y'all can do it. Y'all can do those incentives easy. We got this.
It's very doable. This is one of the harder sections of the run. But yeah, we are getting very close to the end, so it is the time, chat.
All right. We have gotten through that part, and now we're on to what I like to call the nightmare rifle jumping section. This part is very mean. Because a lot of people, myself included, went into this run being like, how important is the rifle jumping really? And if you don't have it down by chapter 9, you quickly find out, oh, I need to figure out how the rifle jumps work. And it's not easy because they're literally frame perfect tricks, but like, it's very cool to just kind of like launch into the air with a rifle, so it's worth learning. We're coming up on this boss fight that may seem a little strange because there's been nothing to indicate that such a boss fight like this would take place in this game. And I'm not sure that there is either, knowing the lore of this game. And that is a boss fight against our evil twin. And the only line that I can think of that responds, like, kind of suggests that a fight might take place is a small little line that says, in order to defeat the demons, you must first defeat yourself. But that's it. That's the only foreshadowing that you get to this moment right here. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, my evil twin. Okay. And that is, in fact, our floating evil twin. I don't know how they learn to float or throw fireballs, but I mean, we can also throw fireballs now that we've been gifted by the vampires to do things with our vampire gauntlet, which for some reason doesn't speak to us, even though in Necrovision 1, the selected necromancer in that game got the gauntlet speaking to them all the time. But hey, this is just classic World War I vampire stuff. They're kind of mysterious, and we're learning more about this from historians every day. So now this little section ends when the speech stops. So I'm going to grab this paper in here to make the speech stop. And because he has to read the paper once I pick it up. And that's the end of that chapter.
Reading.
Exactly.
If we have time for some updates on those incentives, we are now over 80% of the way to adding those extra traps. We only need $95 more on that incentive. And we are also only $37 away from replacing Sonic with Amy. Chat, you can be the one to get us over the finish line on these incentives. We only have a little under 10 minutes, so do not hesitate.
And
this is the final boss fight, so y'all want to make sure that you get those donations.
We are at the final boss fight. If you have ever seen a speedrun, you know that usually the final boss fight is not that long.
So you're not supposed to be able to stand on this console, but it makes it really easy to just melee the boss and normally avoid the other enemies.
Yeah, the other enemies will show up behind us, and we'll just kind of poke them occasionally when they do show up, and that'll give us our Fireball Gauntlet ability, because you charge up the Vampire Gauntlet by killing other enemies, because of course you do. Everyone knows that.
We have met that incentive to replace Sonic with Amy, so we just have that add more traps incentive, $70 remaining.
Heck yeah, y'all got this. $70 more. Y'all got this, chat.
That's very doable. You got this, chat.
I'm gonna let this boss pick me up and throw me into phase 2. Come on, you got this. Throw me into phase 2. There we go. Now, phase 2 is going to be the final part of this game, because once this boss dies, that's going to be the end of the run. So, final calls coming up right here. The way that this fight works, we've got to run around and pull these levers, and that charges up the fireball on our gauntlet. So, I'm occasionally going to be doing just chip damage with the rocket launcher, while also going from post to post, flipping those switches. But it's only a matter of time. I basically just got to do 2 laps, and then it's over. So, Mint, hit him with the incentives, hit him with the all the donos. Let's go.
Absolutely. We are still $70 away from adding more traps, but we are so close, chat. I know you can do it. I have some donations to read from people who are helping us. We have... Where was this one? Excuse me, so many came in just then. We have $50 from Star Anise, who says, "Let's go, gay girls. I was never taught the Jetpack Vampire Demon War in school, so putting some money into support education. This donation goes towards adding traps to make Lumi suffer." And then there's a little evil face. And as I was reading that, we are now down to $20 remaining. That is so close.
So close.
We are running out of time, but I know you can make it.
Yep, we're on our final lap around the boss. Y'all got this.
We didn't ask how big the room was, we just said we cast Fireball.
Yeah, it's true.
And we have met that incentive to add more traps to Sonic Adventure 2.
Let's go!
Great job,
Heck yeah.
chat. That's awesome.
All right, so I'm just gonna pull here the final lever, and we're gonna throw our fireball, and that's time right there. Great job, chat, on getting those incentives unlocked. And there goes the giant underground golem that was manufactured by the demons in order to suppress the will of both dragons and vampires alike, and eventually lead to the conquering of humanity. But thankfully, Jonas here stopped. But wait, the evil power of the artifact has corrupted him, and now he becomes the villain of Necrovision, which this game is a prequel to, but except he's only the villain for like 6 chapters, because the story of these games are all over the place. So before my closing statements, I'll throw it over to Evie for your shout-outs.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out my wonderful, amazing, lovely partner CJ, my friend Azael, and all the wonderful fatales I got to meet here. And be sure to check out Radiant Lumina's run coming up next. It's going to be very, very fun to see. And thank you, Astrid, for having me along to teach about the Great War.
Thank you so much for being here, Evie. It was a big, big help to have you here. The last thing that I want to say, of course, shout outs to my Twitch community, to the Fatales, but also shout out to artists, writers, and creators and game developers, because Necrovision, the games that are like this, which are these wild, zany, ridiculous sort of like historical retelling, alternate universe stuff, things like this come from imagination. And I love games like this because even though you can take a step back and go, yeah, that's not a great video game, there is more passion and love and a desire to make something great in this game than in so many of other video games that get shoved out and put on the shelves because they're trying to like make money real quick or just thrown out there. Like, it doesn't matter. Your creativity, your passion to create art, your passion to create things, it's needed now more than ever. Never stop creating, never stop inventing, never stop making new stories and worlds and art for us to experience and go through, because you never know when someone like me will come across and find the thing that you made and love it with all of my heart, which is exactly what I do with Necrovision. So thank you to game devs, artists, and everyone out there who make gaming a far better place. You really do make the scene and the community so much better with your creativity. That's all. Take care. I'm Astrid the Horror Girl at twitch.tv/AstridTheHorrorGirl, and this was my run on Frame Fatales.